monitors you looking at there?
Only one right now. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got 3 here just in case, but yeah, for other stuff. So get it going here. All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. Thank you so much for listening to all of our great programs. It's been a tough day for everyone. As we're recording this, the Kobe Memorial has just ended. A huge memorial that was done at the Staples Center in honor of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, and it's still it's been 4 weeks since the tragedy, and still a tough time for us here as Lakers fans as we try to move on and try to cope still with what's gone on. I know there's still a lot of going on behind the scenes. I know a lawsuit has been filed as of today, and it's now getting into that portion of this tragedy, unfortunately, and that's what happens in our society. And, obviously the family has to go ahead and do what they need to do to go ahead and try and, continue on after the loss, after such a devastating loss. But there's also some other good things to talk about when it comes to the Lakers. And, of course, they eked out a win over the Boston Celtics this past weekend. Also, as well, had a great win over Memphis, although it wasn't kind of as great as I thought it would be because they were up by 25 and kind of blew the lead, but still managed to go ahead and get the job done. We also talk about the week ahead with Zion on the way, and Markieff Morris now comes into the roster, and how's that fit going to be? We're going to talk about all those things with my good friend. I know him as Tom Wong, but you know him as LakerTom. Be part of the conversation at the site he runs, Lakerholics.net, plus his great articles today on Medium.com. It is LakerTom. I know it's been a tough day, my friend. I know it was hard watching for some of us out there, and I also know some others just couldn't bear to watch anymore because of, there's so much grief going on and so much sadness still, even to this day, 4 weeks after the tragedy.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way. I watched bits and parts of it and a couple of videos of Vanessa talking and then Shaq making his comments. But I was ready basically to move on. I just didn't want to douse myself in more grief on that. I think it's and hopefully a lot of people, looked at it a little bit as a celebration of Kobe, but it's just such a sad, tragic situation that I can understand why people would avoid it. I was talking to a lot of people on Lakerholics.net, and some were watching it, and some were, just basically couldn't bear to watch it anymore. So it's tough times, and now you hear about the lawsuit being filed against the helicopter pilot and the company, and it now appears that maybe he shouldn't have been flying that particular night that day with all of the fog and everything, and it just adds to the tragedy and frustration that you feel about situations like this. But then there's other things. I know a lot of the people in the Celtics organization were here for not only the game but also for the ceremony with Kobe. And I think one of the things that I thought was one of the most remarkable things that I could see was Bill Russell sporting that Kobe jersey.
Class act. Very
class act from one goat to another. That was really something. And then basically Bill was criticized by a lot of Celtics fans, and he pretty much told them, why don't you just take a walk off a short pier? That was something to see. That was really something special. As was the game. So I'm trying to focus on things moving forward, and I think that's what Kobe would have wanted us all to do. My condolences and prayers go out for Vanessa and the families of all of the people that died in that accident. And, hopefully we can all just hug our loved ones and just cherish the fact that they're still alive and with us.
Couldn't agree with you more on that, my friend. Our deepest sympathies, again, to the Bryant family, but also as well all the families that were involved in this tragic accident. It's still affecting us even to this day. I go to the Laker groups, and it's right there on Facebook. I mean, the sadness, the grief, the remembrance, people just are not letting it go. It's just very sad to see. It's deeply affecting how they go ahead and go about their day, because Kobe, I think a lot of people didn't even realize out there how much it would have affected them, if something like that happened to an individual that was so dear to them, such as Kobe Bryant. I think there's such amount of surprise to see the level of remembrance, the level of just sadness that people still feel over his loss, because he is still every day. You see the pictures, you see the new artistry, you see the new tributes each and every day to him that are out there by millions of fans all over the world, and it's still so devastating, from them about how they feel about what happened to Kobe, and still to this day, it's very remarkable to see how long lasting the effect is of somebody of his stature passing away so soon.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think about all of the expectations when Kobe retired. And I've been thinking about this the last few days, and I saw this picture. I don't know whether it was a temporary statue, I guess, that was erected outside of Staples with Kobe and Gigi, with halos around them. And I started thinking about all of the talk that I'd heard. A couple of friends and I had this long conversation about what should Kobe's statue look like, Should it be the statue of him standing up on the scorer's desk, with his arms spread wide, or the dunk statue, that statue of him doing the dunk, or his patent fadeaway jumper, I'm now hoping that it'll be Kobe and his daughter. I think that's really the thing that sadly everybody's going to remember about Kobe Bryant, when it comes down to that. If you want to pick out something that was the most poignant and that would just, encapsulate what everybody feels about the tragedy of someone dying so young with so much promise ahead of them, and especially his daughter. So, you just gotta move forward on these things, and it's going to be a difficult situation every time that we think about it. I haven't been to Staples, live in Northern California, so I usually go down for a couple of games a year, and I've been looking through the schedule now, trying to figure out when I want to go down for this year. There's some great games coming up, and but it's still, even when you think about going down there, I just know the emotion that's going to be surrounding it, and I'm trying to get out of the doldrums of that every time somebody mentions Kobe, every time I see my granddaughters in their 24 jerseys. We had a game Sunday, and my granddaughter Alexa is wearing her 24 jersey, and our little chant when we get ready out of each huddle is 1, 2, 3 Mamba, in honor of Kobe. So it's a difficult situation, and you just have to live with it and move on. And I think the Lakers as a team have come out, and I think that, after the little bit of a sloppy game against the Grizzlies, it was good to see them come out and really, really put a great performance against the Boston Celtics. That guy, Jason Tatum, man. The Pelicans are probably wishing now that we had drafted Jason Tatum instead of Lonzo Ball. He would have been traded as part of the Anthony Davis trade. The Pelicans would have loved to have had him. So there you go in life. It's just a strange set of coincidences that you end up in situations like that. But I'm looking forward to the next week of basketball. Then I'm looking forward to those games in early March where we go out and we get our shots at the Bucks again and the Clippers again, as well as the struggling 76ers. So I'm trying to move on beyond that, beyond the tragedy of Kobe Bryant's death, and it's not easy, but I think that we're only human, and you can only deal with so much grief. And I don't think Kobe would want people to be taking a long time to do that. I think they'd want to, he's the kind of guy who would want a wake that was a celebration as opposed to anything else. So hopefully we can go forward and celebrate his life by having a great season.
Hopefully that will be the case. But yes, there was still some great tributes today. Shaq, Michael Jordan, very tearful. Talking about his mentorship of Kobe, Shaq, talking about their relationship and how up and down it was. But the times that it actually came to the point where he actually finally got, or he actually that Kobe earned the respect of him, and then he was talking about that moment. So that was very touching. And Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's wife, going up there, and Gigi's mom going up there, and so brave to talk about exactly everything that she was going through at that point in time during the course of the Kobe Memorial. Is just it's still rough. It still hurts. It still stings to this day. And like you said, when you go to the Staples Center, Tom, I know the first thing you're going to be doing when you go in there, you're going to be looking for those Kobe Bryant jerseys hanging up there on the rafters, and take maybe a moment to reflect on that. I know I would, and when I go down there, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I can't blame you, Vit, about what's going on with everybody's emotions still, even to this day. It's just shows you the kind of impact he had, and such a tragedy to happen so young to an individual like that, and with his daughter as well, and all that. It just, you see the impact even to this day, and a lot of people are not getting over it. And this day is hopefully going to be that bridge to something a little bit better going on each and every day. I mean, it takes each and every day by day by day, for people to go ahead and heal. But again, Kobe's never going to be forgotten. Gigi's never going to be forgotten in our hearts, and we just wish all the best to the family right here from the Lakers Fast Break podcast. So that's probably the best way I can say it. And I know everybody out there, you're sharing your thoughts and feelings too. Lakerholics.net, that's a great place to share your thoughts on Kobe and also everything that's going on as well. So we truly appreciate everything out there that's going on with right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Excuse me just a moment, real quick, Tom. My apologies, Tom. Sorry to keep you waiting on that.
No problem.
The only person that could get me, the missus, the actual boss. All right. So I tell you what, and we're back with the Lakers, Fast Break podcast. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to the program. Apologies for any delay on that. I will tell you right now that there's still some other great things going on with the Lakers. I know everybody's trying to get over what happened with the Kobe Memorial and what's going on with Kobe, but there's still a great season at hand for the Los Angeles Lakers, and now they have more motivation and drive to do that more than ever before. Obviously, what's going on, and it helps when you have a victory over the Celtics. And with it helps when you have a victory over the Celtics, as they did this weekend. They eked out a victory, Tom. Eked out a victory over the Boston Celtics. It was just something that wasn't textbook, but it got the job done. I mean, there were some things that I liked, but there was also some things I didn't like, and we'll discuss it right now. But your thoughts on the Lakers-Celtics on Sunday? How did the Lakers perform in your eyes? Yes, they got the victory. And it's always satisfying to get a victory over the Boston Celtics. But I don't think they are 100% satisfied in the way they guarded Jason Tatum. And it also shows to me a little bit of weakness on the wing area. The wing, guarding other wings is still going to be an issue going forward.
Yeah, I've always been a glass 3/4 full guy. So to me, I've been battling this all day at the LakerSholics on LakerHolics.net. The whole concept of, was this a big win or was it not a big win, and should the win be devalued because Kemba Walker wasn't playing, et cetera, et cetera. And I look at it a totally different way. I think that when you look at these teams that we're playing, you have to look at how the game evolved, and you have to understand the game and all the strategy that happens in the game in the context of a 7-game series. And the Celtics have a very good defense. They're one of the teams that has a top 5 defense and a top 5 offense, just like the Lakers. And they do an excellent job. And it's very difficult when you have 2 men always on Anthony Davis down low, partly because we're playing a lot of times with another traditional center down there. So I thought that the way I looked at the game is this way. Yeah, Kemba Walker wasn't playing, but Jason Tatum had his career best night, and they still lost the game. Their center had his career best performance in the NBA, and they still lost the game. And in the fourth quarter, the Lakers made the defensive adjustments that they needed to make. Kuzma had 4 outstanding defensive trips against Tatum. KCP played great defense, including that last play where basically he drew the offensive foul. And Frank Vogel, maybe a little too late, but at least went out there and said, we're not going to get beat by Jason Tatum making those shots. We're going to force them to pass the ball and rely upon our team defense. And then, you may not like this, Gerald, but we had a sighting again of playoff Rondo. And my God,
I like playoff Rondo.
The guy played one hell of a game.
I like playoff Rondo. I just don't like regular season Rondo.
5 assists, no turnovers, 5 steals, a +15, and Kuzma a +17. So when I look at the game, I think that all of these things are really important things. You look at the way the Lakers adjusted that game, the way they came back twice and fought back and just really persevered. The chemistry is really important. We outscored their bench something like 46-12. And I just was cruising through Twitter, and I'm reading this. I see an article headline about how deep the Celtics are. I'm like shaking my head here, how deep the Celtics are. The issue is, how deep are the Lakers? And they're going to get deeper because they've got Markieff Morris coming.
I just think the Celtics, when Kemba Walker's healthy, are a good 1-7. After the 7, it falls off a cliff.
Right. But I think that the thing you have to look at is who won the game, who performed best in the fourth quarter, who came down the stretch and made the winning plays. And the Lakers did that. Those are the kind of plays. The other thing I think that people have to realize too is that this team so far has not lost a single game when LeBron James scores 30 points. I had a Twitter post last week about playoff LeBron. You want to talk about playoff Rondo? Let's talk about playoff LeBron. LeBron basically has scored 20% more in his last two playoffs than he did during the regular season. So if you took his average of 25 points per game, he's going to average over 30 points per game in the playoffs probably. If he averages 30 points a game in the playoffs and the Lakers continue to win every one of those games, it will shut a lot of people up. So I think that the Lakers basically are exactly where they want to be at this point in time. I think it's almost even more important that they win these close games and dominate against teams that are under 500 and don't lose those games than having a couple of blowout games, you know. The Celtics blew the Lakers out in the worst loss that we had this year. We came back and won the game. We outplayed them when it counted. We shut down their star in the fourth quarter. He got one shot and 2 free throws, and that was it. 4 points. Turned the ball over 3 times. I can't complain anything about that, and I'm really frustrated with the naysayers and the doubters who constantly come up and say, "Oh man, we were lucky to win this game. We're lucky to win that game." We keep seeing these challenges being dropped on it. It's a schedule. It's all of these various reasons why the Lakers should not be considered to be the best team and the favorite to win the championship. And every single time we have that challenge coming up, they're going to meet it. And I think we're going to find the same thing in early March when we play the Clippers again and we play the Bucks again. The Lakers are going to win this championship. I'm convinced of it. The ball will have to bounce the right way because there's always that element in every single championship series. And I think the Celtics could very well be nothing could be better for a Kobe Bryant's last season on earth than to have the Lakers and Celtics in the finals. That would be such a tradition that would just be unbelievable to happen. And I think there's a good chance it could happen. I mean, Jason Tatum is a superstar as far as I'm concerned. You watch those adjustments that guy made with the ball when he's going to the rack, and man, you just have to appreciate this guy has such a tight handle on the ball, and he's almost impossible to stop getting in close. It'll be interesting to see. But the Lakers basically threw a phalanx of guys against him. Kuzma did a good job. KCP did a good job. AD has not had a whole lot of success against him, but I'd still put AD on anybody. And the guy of the Lakers who's probably done the best job, according to all of the stats that Eric Pincus put together, has been LeBron James, who's done a terrific job on him. Markieff Morris has not really guarded him very many times, but Morris has also done an excellent job against Pascal Siakam and against Ben Simmons. So there's something about that size and bulk that you have to be able to handle that, the quickness of Tatum's. So I think the Lakers basically have the right formula for defending all of these wing guys that everybody's worried about. And I think that we'll get into it in the next segment here, that Markieff Morris is going to add to that phalanx of guys that we can throw against him. And I think that's the important thing. That and then the smart defensive coaching job that Frank Vogel did. You know, we got into the fourth quarter and Frank basically said, "We're not going to lose to this guy. We're going to make somebody else on that team beat us." And that is by far the right move that you have to make against the James Hardens, against the Giannis, against Kawhi Leonard, all of those guys who are basically unstoppable. The guys that you see day in and day out continue to prove that great offense in the NBA today beats great defense. So you can't just rely upon having one stopper to go out there. There just is not enough energy or enough foul calls that you can survive with that type of attitude. You have to have a team approach toward guarding those guys and put multiple players on them so that they can't get any one guy into foul trouble. So I think you'll see LeBron on him, you'll see AD on him, you'll see Kuzma hopefully on him, you'll see Markieff Morris on him, and you'll see KCP on him. KCP does a pretty good job. And then there's some guys, like Luka, that that guys like Bradley can really bother because they just don't have as tight a handle and they can't deal with having the heavy pressure of somebody who's attacking your ball on every time that you move down the court. So I'm thinking the Lakers are in great shape. They get in better situation. We've got 4 games that we should win before we have that stretch against the 76ers, the Bucks, and the Clippers. And I think what we want to do over the next week or so is to win those 4 games against teams that are under 500 that we should be able to dominate. And we need to just continue to do the same thing we've done, which is win the games that we're supposed to win and then get better and better as we play the teams that are the tougher teams, that are the playoff championship teams that we're going to have to beat in the playoffs in order to advance.
Well, I'll tell you what, it starts with hopefully, bringing in Markieff Morris into the fold, and that's something I wanted to talk to you about. I don't know how much credit you can give me on that, and I appreciate you giving me credit for that on Lakerholics.net. But I only mentioned him as, I don't want to say a throw-in to a trade for Derrick Rose, but I mentioned him as, when I went to the ESPN trade machine a few weeks back, talk about potential trades for the Lakers, I did see him as part of a good trade for the Los Angeles Lakers. And had it worked out, the way I did it, the Lakers, it showed on the little bottom of the screen that plus 13 wins, which, would have been awesome if that would have been the case. But seeing Markieff Morris, I just thought he has enough of a skill set to be effective, to go ahead and provide some minutes for the Lakers, as long as there's not too much of an expectation put upon him. I know that he's been other places, and I believe Oklahoma City is probably the first place I'd talk about where he has not endeared himself, or his play did not go up to the level that they were hoping for. Because coming out of college, he was actually slightly thought of better than his brother. He's an inch taller than his brother. But unfortunately, since they've come to the NBA, more by more, his brother has proven to be the better of the two Morris twins. But still, you can't fault 6'8", 250, who can hit almost 40% from the three-point line. So he's having his best year from the three-point area, and that's a good thing for the Lakers. One of the bad things about it is his defense is spotty. I will say that. Statistically, you look at the plus minus, you look at the defensive ratings, and it's not as high as you would like it. But also, he's very injury prone, so you have to look at that as well. Can he stay healthy for a long run, hopefully a long playoff run for the Los Angeles Lakers? So those are a couple things that you look at, and that's probably part of the reason why he is out and available right now, or now part of the Lakers, or made available by the Detroit Pistons, because he's just not lived to as many expectations I think these other teams have had for him. So I ask you, my friend, can you temper, as a Los Angeles Lakers fan or as the Los Angeles Lakers organization, can you temper your expectations and bring in Markieff Morris at certain points in time of the game where he can excel, and not expect for him to go ahead and do too much? Because when I think that happens, there you get yourself into some trouble.
Yeah, those are all good points, Gerald. It's kind of interesting. I think one of the fabulous things about life is that sometimes coincidences happen, little things happen that somehow turn out to be blessings, silver linings in the clouds, if you will. We wanted Marcus Morris, and we were willing, depending upon who you believe, to offer Kuzma and Danny Green, or DeMarcus Cousins, Kuzma and Avery Bradley in a second round draft pick to get him. And in the end, nobody, at least at this point in time, we don't know how come those deals didn't go through, what was really offered and what wasn't offered. And during this entire incident, I remember sort of belittling your comment, not disrespectful, but belittling your comment about making the trade for the Detroit, and calling Markieff the wrong Morris. What's kind of ironic is that I remember us having a conversation a couple of podcasts ago about how these signings in the buyout market seem to miraculously happen. And there's no doubt. And I think what happens in these situations is the Lakers have done a good job of keeping things quiet. I'm sure that they asked to talk to the Pistons about Markieff, and they got permission to talk to Markieff because it's obvious that even before the final thing goes through, where he's waived, he agrees to a buyout, and then gets waived by the Pistons, that he's already talked to the Lakers, and the Lakers have basically outlined his role, that Kuzma is going to move over and back up LeBron at the 3, and Morris will be the primary backup of AD at the 4, and will also play some small ball 5. So obviously, and he's also going to get the $1.75 million non-prorated exception that the Lakers get, injury exception that the Lakers get from DeMarcus Cousins. And actually, they're going to replace Cousins. They're going to waive Cousins, although they're going to ask for permission for him to stay with the team, work out with the team, and the plan is next summer to sign him again. So when you sit back and you look at it, we missed out on Marcus Morris, but actually it's probably a better situation for us that we got Markieff. You talk about expectations. One guy's a 19-point per game scorer who's going to expect minutes and is going to expect, touches. And minutes and touches aren't something that we have a whole lot of left over after you get Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Their due share. Markieff, on the other hand, he still takes 4 threes a game, but he's not going to expect to be, to get the kind of touches that his brother would get. And then also, I think a big difference between the two of them is that little extra height, and most importantly, that 35 pounds more that Markieff has on him to be able to hold his position against guys like, and he gets a good rating as a post defender. He's not a great perimeter defender, but he's done well against Siakam. Eric Pincus had a great article out today where he is comparing the stats of various people against Markieff Morris against various players. And I think the biggest thing that came out of that whole article was Pincus saying that there's a good prospect that he can be an impact player for us on the defensive end as well as the offensive end. On the offensive end, he's perfect because he can play small ball center and take the banging inside to allow Anthony Davis room to attack the basket that he wouldn't have if JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard were holding that dunker spot in the offense. He gives us that shooter that Kuzma hasn't been, and he actually moves Kuzma over to the 3 where he can have a bigger impact. But on defense, it's nice to have a guy who can go out there, and you think about the fact that we got him for really giving up nothing because of the deal that they made with Cousins. Cousins wasn't going to play this year. In fact, it's probably wise for him not to play this year, even if he was healthy by the time the playoffs come. That's how he got injured last year. It was coming back too soon, from the Achilles tendon. And the last thing he wanted for him to come back too soon from the ACL that he had. So we add a player to the roster, and we go from 14 to 15 players, really. And we don't have to give up anything for him. We don't really have to waive anybody on the entire bench. And I frankly don't think we're going to sign anybody else. I think the Lakers are going to feel comfortable and set with the lineup they have. And I think Markieff will give us a little bit of toughness that we maybe lacked. He'll give us another shooter that we need with size, and he'll give us another defender to throw at the Kawhis and the Tatums and the Giannis's in the league. And for all of that, it is a silver lining that we really missed out in the buyout market at the first, and we really found the right nugget that fit the lineup perfectly, that doesn't disturb the chemistry, that keeps that team chemistry totally intact. And that's one of the things when you just every time you look at the shots that I saw the Memorial today and all of the Lakers players, that's really family. I would hate to see Quinn Cook waived. I'd hate to see Troy Daniels waived. I hated to see DeMarcus Cousins waived, but at least I understand the reason for doing that. And I think that, when you look back on this, I think the Lakers are going to be a much stronger team in the second half of the season. And I think Markieff was the perfect fit for adding to the lineup. I think it's better that we got him than we got Marcus. And so I apologize, Markieff, for calling you the wrong Morris. I think you were the right Morris in the end.
You see that eyebrow going up? You see this one? I'm sorry. That's because, Tom, I think you've been reading too many of the tea leaves there because, I want to put it out for there right now. Yes, it's nice that we've got a potential 40% three-point shooter who does have some size with him. It's great. But to say that right now he's a better fit for the Lakers than Marcus Morris, I think is a little bit of a stretch. I'm going to be honest with you because Marcus Morris has been playing, at a level much better than Markieff.
How have the Clippers done since they got Marcus?
Oh, that's beside the point. That's a team that
four in a row losses, and Kawhi played every single one of them.
That's a team that's in disarray right now. That hopefully, because if we want to go ahead and have that great matchup against the Clippers, they need to get it together, and they need to put it together to actually see during playoff time who's going to play against each other and who's going to be the best coming out of that in a playoff format. But yeah, I still would say Marcus is the better of the twins playing right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I see Marcus as someone who could actually, in a potential, closing situation, still play on the court effectively in a five-person rotation, or whether it would be on the Lakers or the Clippers. I don't see that with Markieff, and that's.
Well, I'm not saying that Markieff is a better player. I'm just saying that Markieff is a better fit on the Lakers because he won't have the expectations that Marcus will have. He has the things that we need and none of the things that we don't need. We don't need another player who wants to have the ball in his hands, who wants to get a lot of shots up, who is scoring 19 points per game, who's a free agent next year and is going to expect a big payroll. Instead, we've got a guy who's willing to fit into the role. He knows he's a backup. He knows he's going to be coming off the bench. He knows he's got limited minutes. He knows that what his job is going to be is to stretch the floor and come in and play defense against some bigger guys. And so there's a fit there that wouldn't have screwed up the chemistry, whereas Marcus might have screwed up the chemistry. And that's what I really mean by him being he's the right Morris for the Lakers. He wouldn't have been the right Morris for the Clippers. The Clippers probably need another guy, although I think that they went after Morris primarily to keep him from the Lakers. I think that was pretty obvious that was a move by addition by subtraction. They did not want to have Marcus Morris go to the Lakers. But I think getting Markieff is a better fit for the Lakers because it doesn't hurt their chemistry, and his expectations fit better with what we can offer somebody really to play. That's really what I'm saying about that whole thing. Not claiming that Markieff is the better player between the two of them. And I'm sure that no matter how well Markieff plays and no matter how well Marcus plays, when free agency happens for both of these guys next summer, Marcus is going to be in a lot more demand than Markieff. Okay. But Markieff might have a championship ring.
True. Very true. I just wanted to make sure that's clarified because, it's something that
you can
was
put the eyebrow down. You can put the eyebrow down.
I can put the eyebrow down. Okay, because that was starting to get to be a head scratcher there. I was like, Right. But you know what? I don't want to say I'm proven wrong, but I'm hoping you're proven right that he will be an effective cog to that and play minutes and not end up being what most of these buyout market guys eventually become, and that is just end of the bench type rotation guys that they're barely getting into the game. I mean, that's
how many buyout guys have you seen that have transformed the team into a championship contender?
Exactly. There's not that many. I mean, or that's played effective minutes. I mean, the last one people point to is Enes Kanter,
right?
And that was because of injury. And there's very few buyout. There's very few buyout players that actually can make a significant or actually end up making a significant contribution to their team. But if the Lakers can get anything good or anything positive from Markieff Morris going forward, I think that's a win for the Lakers.
Yep.
I kind of was sad to see DeMarcus Cousins not being a part of the team. Personally, I would have probably let Troy Daniels go or Jared Dudley. One of the two players that I think will probably play or be the least effective in a playoff format.
Yeah.
Because Troy Daniels probably will not get much action at all during the course of the playoffs. Jared Dudley might, depending on the situation, get 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there in a game. But I don't see Troy Daniels, it's because of his.
Why do you think they did it? Why do you think they did that?
I think maybe it's because of the fact that Cousins is just not going to be able to make it. Cousins is just probably going to be someone that, maybe at best could be there for maybe an NBA championship finals, a Western Conference finals, maybe at best. But then again, you're talking about bringing someone that's, brand new to your lineup after so many months out. That wouldn't be work at all. I think that's why he's going to clear waivers. I think that's why he's not going to be picked up for another team, is because of the fact that he is going to be out of the lineup so long that it's going to just say, hey, you know what, just go ahead and rehab, and we'll go ahead and look out for all of our opportunities that we have available from other teams, including the Lakers come next year. Because I thought it was very wishing. I thought it was very hopeful on his part to go ahead and enhance that speculation, to say on the podcast with Steven Jackson,
2 days before he got waived.
Yeah, exactly. So, he kind of heightened that himself, but I just don't think that he was going to be ready or at a point, even where he was last year, where he came on later in the season, where he was still able to play effective minutes for the Golden State Warriors before he got hurt, because you could see he wasn't totally healthy then. I just see it even being a worse point now for him, and to say, hey, after all this time you've been out, let's take someone like Kevin Durant. If he comes back during a playoff run for Brooklyn, hypothetically, let's say, how effective can he really be, and would that be hurting him long term? So you got to put those two factors into there. So I think it was
probably proved that point, by getting injured again. All on the same side of the body. Here's what my take is on the Cousins situation. I've always felt that Cousins was not going to come back this year, period, because I thought it would be foolish to risk him getting injured again. And I thought always that his position on the bench and his position on that roster was Anthony Davis. He's like best friends with Anthony. And Anthony, he's the guy that Anthony wants to play center. And so we were always talking about next year with DeMarcus. And when push comes to shove and they had an opportunity to sign Markieff in the buyout market, I think that they basically said, listen, we can do one of two things. We can cut a guy who's part of the chemistry of the team, who's a shooter that you can bring in an emergency time. And, a guy's he can threes, which is Troy Daniels. Or we can just tell DeMarcus, listen, we never really planned on you playing this year. We're keeping you around because we want you next year. And the league will give us permission, since you got injured on our ticket. The league will give us permission so you can continue to work out with the team and everything. You just won't be able to sit on the bench in the first part, as part of the bench, so to speak. And so I think that they made a decision that was a sign of chemistry, and I maybe I'll be proved wrong tomorrow when they sign J.R. Smith or some crazy move to bring in somebody else. But I think that they're set, and I think that they didn't want to. I think they didn't want to mess with that chemistry on the bench, and I think that was a big part of why they didn't trade Kuzma. Both LeBron and Anthony believe in Kuzma, just like they believe in Rondo, just like they believe in everybody on that roster. And when you saw all of those guys together after Kobe's death, and everybody, hugging and holding on to each other, there's something there that I think was a decision that, hey, we could flip a coin, and if we're going to flip that coin, we're going to flip it in terms of being loyal to the guys who really have given everything, and regardless of whether they're going to end up being major factors or not, they've been part of the reason why we have such a terrific chemistry on this team. And I think that they made that decision to do that. And I think also, too, that you can explain it to DeMarcus pretty simply by saying, man, we can't cut one of these guys who've been playing and have been part of contributing to this championship so far. You're still going to be part of the team. You're going to be part of the team next year. I'm hoping there's a handshake deal so he knows what kind of deal he's going to get next year, because he's like a redshirt free agent for us. You know, he's a redshirt freshman or something like that. He's only going to be 30 years old next year. And man, I would sign him to a 2-year deal with an option so that he got a shot at his bird rights. And I think that you could very easily, he's going to be a long-term piece of the Lakers, but I think that the decision to not let even Troy Daniels go. Troy Daniels can shoot the ball, man. He's a 40% career shooter, and a guy who's part of it. And I couldn't imagine, it's going to be heartbreaking to see Quinn Cook get cut.
Well, Quinn Cook you shouldn't cut, because I still feel he has his effectiveness. He can score in bunches, and he has NBA Finals experience. He has that experience. He has that experience in the NBA Finals, which not every player has. Yeah. So, and he's someone who isn't going to be shy. You put him in a situation, let's say Rondo gets hurt or somebody gets hurt, Caruso or whatnot, in the NBA Finals, you stick him in there, he's going to go ahead and give you at least a short burst of positivity. Now, longer terms, longer minutes, longer outings for him have proven to be the issue, especially because his size, he's not able to go ahead and get to the basket as well as some other guards. And I notice his shot gets blocked rather easily. So he is not there. It exposes him when he's out there for longer periods of time. But when he's out there for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, even maybe 10 minutes, 12 minutes a game, he go there and he can get you that short burst of energy and those shots right away, and points right away to get you back into it. So I do not see him getting waived. I do not see him getting cut. I just think he's too valuable a piece that you have, as like I called Caruso the other day. I'd say Caruso was the in case of emergency break glass guy. He said that he happens to be, because seemingly that happens a lot for him, is that he's not utilized until absolutely needed. That same thing could go for Quinn Cook. And if there's some injuries during the course of the playoffs, look for Quinn Cook to be one of the guys that could take advantage of that situation.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that seem to jump out at me. One is that the Lakers felt, no matter how you want to cut it and slice it, they felt that it was more important to have Troy Daniels on the roster than DeMarcus Cousins. That's what that decision says to me. The second thing, too, that I want to add for Markieff Morris is this roster has been positionally unbalanced right from the very start. Way too many guards and not enough bigs, or too many guards and not enough forwards, if you will. And Morris coming in and replacing a center who wasn't going to play really adds some balance to that team as far as the smalls and the bigs. And I think that was an important part of it that really will help the team out. Do you think that they're going to sign anybody else?
Well, the one name I had pointed out to, in an upcoming interview I have with TJ that's going to play this week, TJ Johnson from Voice in the Underground, or was it Jimmy Simonis? Jimmy Simonis I had a great conversation with as well. Just so many conversations over the course of the weekend with Lakers and pop culture. It all seems to blend in. But the name I pointed out that is on his last year of his contract is Jeff Teague. And Jeff Teague, if he did ask for a buyout, he would be intriguing, and I think he would be a slight.
Well, they cut Troy Daniels for Jeff Teague, no doubt about it.
He would be a slight upgrade over Rondo, because he has the ability to score and is still young enough at 30, 31 to go ahead and...
Is he on the last year of his contract?
Yes, I checked with basketballreference.com. He is on the last year of his contract.
What's he make?
What I saw. Sorry?
12 million or something like that?
He's paid a lot more than that. You'd be surprised what he's being paid right now.
20?
So he signed a 3-year, $57 million contract.
$18 million bucks. Huh?
Yeah, so you do the math on that one. That's... people were like, but he came up to
But there's not a whole lot. But there's not a whole lot of the season left, too. There's
that's true. So, but there's less than a week. so he's got to make up his mind if he wants to go ahead and get bought out. But I don't think he will at this point. I've heard no rumblings in regards to Jeff Teague, so it doesn't look like that's the case.
In my mind, it would have to be somebody of that quality.
Mo Harkless is having his dream come true by playing for the Knicks. And,
well, maybe. Month's not over. Month's not over. We got till March 1st.
Well, yeah, exactly. That dream could come crashing down when you're playing for the Knicks for about a few days. So I told that to TJ the other day. It was kind of funny because, yes, it is something that we'll have to wait and see. But I think Jeff Teague would be the one player, if not Mo Harkless, because Mo Harkless doesn't seem, like I said, he said on the record. But
either one of those two would probably send Troy packing.
But I just don't. It's not no offense to Troy Daniels. It's just this is the same question that was brought up when he was first brought on, because he was one of the first signings right after the Kawhi deal went down. In fact, I think he was signed just before, if I'm not mistaken, because of the fact that he is a guy that, yes, he can hit 40% from the three-point line, but he's not quick enough to cover guards his size. Yeah. But he's not big enough to cover.
You can always hide one guy. You can always hide one guy, especially when you need. Like I sort of took umbrage when you said that Caruso was the emergency break glass type of player. I think he's evolved beyond that now. He's become a staple for the defense. I think Quinn Cook and Troy Daniels are the break the glass in case of emergency type.
I disagree with you, because I saw it in the Memphis game where he wasn't getting any action well into the second half. And it wasn't
he played really well in the Celtics game.
But that's what I'm saying. You see these dips and points, and then finally, okay, Rondo, it isn't working. I think what
his defensive rating is the top defensive rating on the team. Gerald, he deserves that.
But I think Vogel, what he does, he gauges the game, and then he, if there are certain games like against Memphis, Boston, he did play a more integral part. I won't dissuade you, but there are those games where Alex Caruso, he's not put in full quarters. First quarter go by, there's no sign of Alex Caruso, and he's not in the regular rotation at the beginning of the second quarter when Dwight Howard usually is supposed to come in. But he's almost
always closes games, except when Rondo is playing real well.
Exactly, that's this point I'm trying to make. If Rondo is playing well, he plays very minimal. If Rondo isn't playing well, he's more apt to get that time after.
That's 4 out of 5 games, as you would readily admit.
Yes, as I readily admit. But yeah, he seems to be that guy that, okay, Frank Vogel goes to after, we give Rajon Rondo a try. This Boston game was notwithstanding, because it seemed to be, Rondo played well and Caruso played well, both at the same time in spurts and alternately. And that's the way I think it should work. But
Caruso had probably his best game that I've seen in a lot. Alex's problem has always been really two things. One, that he doesn't make good decisions when he gets into the paint.
Well, he's not the point guard that he was brought in to be.
Well, he's not really a point guard. He's more of a shooting guard. He's really more of a defensive specialist.
Yeah.
But in the Celtics game, he really did a terrific job of attacking the paint. And I've always felt that before Rondo showed again some more playoff Rondo, my feeling about the Rondo Caruso dynamic, if you will, has always been that Caruso's a guy who gets better with time on the floor. He needs touches and experience, and he sometimes throws bad passes inside because he doesn't quite see the game quick enough. He doesn't see the game the way Rondo does or LeBron does. But yet that's something that I think he's smart enough and savvy enough that he can pick up. And so I'd be willing to give him more minutes at the point guard role and have him actually learn on the job to become better, with the idea that maybe by the time you get to the playoffs, and this is the same way I feel about Kuzma, by the time you get to the playoffs, you have to invest in 2 players, Kuzma and Caruso, because those are the 2 players that if you can get them to play better, and I'd actually include Rondo in that trio. If that trio of those 3 players could even elevate their game up a notch for each one of them before the playoffs, we would be a much better team. Because he's still going to have minutes for those guys, even with LeBron playing 40 minutes a game like he's going to do in the playoffs, and AD probably 40 minutes a game. But you'll always find the times when you have the depth on it, and that's when guys like Cook and Daniels, who can come off the bench and fire long threes and hit 2 or 3 of them in a row to bring you back into a game, are important. So it's a good mix. The lineup, the team is a good mix. It'd be great if we could. The ideal situation would if we had an opportunity to get Harkless and Jeff Teague. Yeah, I think we'd probably cut 2 guys.
Yeah, Jared Dudley and Troy Daniels would probably be the most, apt to be waived at that time.
Yeah, but I think those are really like 10
it's
to
not going
1
to happen.
10 to 1 shots at the best, and probably closer to 50 to 1 shots.
Yeah, at this point in time,
I think my bet is we're going to stand pat. I don't see us going for J.R. Smith or anybody like that.
It looks like at this point in time the Lakers roster is set, but you never know. As soon as this gets posted on the air, J.R. Smith or Dion Waiters.
This is the 24th or 25th of the month.
24th, right here. So 24th. As we're recording, Dion Waiters Island still could be out there. Yeah, that makes me nervous. Yeah, hide those gummy bears.
If that happens, I will be. If they sign JR or Waiters, I will be just stunned. Totally stunned, because I don't think that they're at all even thinking that.
I don't regularly do GIFs. In fact, it's something I've tried to avoid doing for most of my life, including when it was just created within the past few years. But I would throw you, specifically you, a GIF with LeBron's look at J.R. Smith from the finals game where J.R. Smith.
I've seen it a number of times.
Yes, I would throw that at you if he gets hired. Yeah, just to say, you know what, this is what you're getting. But I tell you what, my friend, it's been great talking to you today. But before we go ahead out and talk about all the great things at LakerHolics.net, I do want to talk about the week ahead, and primarily LeBron versus Zion. So we go from in the beginning where we're talking about Kobe's memorial and the sadness and the grief that we still have, to something a little bit more positive and something that we as fans can be excited about. I'm not saying Zion is the next LeBron, because he has a different skill set than LeBron, but it is truly amazing to watch this guy play out there with virtually
he's shooting the ball better than I thought he'd ever would. I mean, right off of the bat, he's been shooting well.
No experience at all, just goes out there and gets it done. And there is a case now, if he goes ahead and continues this, that if he plays out the rest of the season, that he could be.
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I don't know. A lot of people are going to be swayed from Ja Morant. The Memphis has to stay in the playoff race. I think if Memphis stays in the playoff race, that will still get it for Ja. But I'll tell you what, Zion.
People don't realize how good Ja is. I mean,
as a penetrator,
you know who you reminded me of a lot. He reminded me a lot when he gets inside of Jason Tatum. They both move that ball around when they're attacking the rim. Just beautiful movement of the ball. I mean, it's very hard to know where that ball is going to come out, if it is going to come out on which side of the basket or what. I was impressed. I was watching him play in the Grizzlies the first time I really watched a whole game of him this year. And when he gets into the paint, he is lightning quick and very difficult to stop from. I mean, you can see why the guy shoots such a high percentage going to the rim. And Tatum, the same thing with Tatum, Tatum makes great adjustments, and he's got those long arms and tight little dribble, same as Ja does. So, as good as, I think that if there was a whole year, if we saw a whole entire season of Zion playing like he's playing so far, he's the rookie of the year. But I think that it's an insult to not recognize that Ja Morant he's going to be a superstar player. There's no question that he is a phenomenal talent, and he's going to be one of that next generation of players that's going to play 15, 20 years and be a star all of the time. And he'll be talked about being in the top 10 players in the league at some point in time.
Well, Ja Morant would still be my rookie of the year. I'm not telling you different. I'm just telling you that flash, that style and that, the Zion mystique that the NBA was trying to push down our throats before the season even started, and putting them on almost literally every single national broadcast game.
It wasn't misdirected.
No, it wasn't misdirected. But you are going to see that from some of these sports writers if it continues like this. Yep. And you see New Orleans make a push. If they actually even end up passing the Memphis Grizzlies, that would be, the narrative even tighter. I'm just going to tell you that you're going to see all these loudmouths pushing more for Zion for Rookie of the Year. I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah. The tough thing for the Grizzlies is Jackson getting injured. That really hurt them because that guy's good too.
Yes, he is very good.
Very good.
Yes, he can do it all. He can rebound, block shots, and hit 3-pointers at a high percentage for a big man of his size. Definitely going to be missed for the next couple of weeks while he tends to his knee and something that he hurt against the Lakers. So that's very sad to see when
you've got Dame also injured, and that's going to hurt the Portland's chances. So.
You never know.
The door is opening up a little bit for the Pelicans to come roaring. There's a team they lose 26 in a row or something like that earlier in the season.
No, they didn't win. Their losses weren't that bad, in a row. But they were not a good team at the beginning.
Of the 16 in a row. There was some huge number that they lost in a row.
Yeah. They
still have a chance to make it.
They do indeed, and that they're right now.
And they got the easiest schedule in the league finishing off because they had the toughest schedule to start with without Zion. Now they got the easiest schedule with Zion.
Well, they still have 4 games to make up, and they still have.
Let's hope they don't make up any of them against us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true going forward. So it is going to be something.
We got them twice in the next week.
Yes, but it is something we're going to be excited seeing. 2 games against Zion coming up this week. We're looking forward to it. Plus, there's also the games coming up that you talked about earlier with Philadelphia, a very, I guess what you could say, Jekyll and Hyde type team because they don't play very well on the road at all. And now Ben Simmons is having back issues, so it's making it even worse for the Philadelphia 76ers. Although, Joel Embiid might like that. So we'll have to wait.
Hey, they all get up for the Lakers, man. That's the problem.
Yeah, he's played well against the Lakers. Yes. I mean, there's Milwaukee. I mean, they have that triple threat of Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and LA back to back to back in early March. So that's something we definitely want to go ahead and talk about at that point in time. And we will on next week's show. So that's something we're going to go ahead and definitely talk about. But before we head on out, my friend, we do got to go ahead and talk to you. Let the people know out there. We got to go ahead and let the people know about there. We got to let the people know out there about your awesome site, LakerHolics.net. What's the conversation going on, and how can people be a part of it?
Well, it's LakerHolics.net, and as I've said several times, it's a site that basically came out of the old Los Angeles Times Lakers blog. When that blog imploded, they had thousands and thousands of members who were there every day, and about 20 or 30 of the people who were really the big main posters on that site all came together and we formed LakerHolics.net. So you're going to get a lot of intelligent conversation from people that have been participating in this same format for 7 or 8 years now since the LA Times blog fell apart. A lot of the attention right now is with the memorial for Kobe and Gigi, and a lot of talk about the game against the Celtics. Lots of respect for Bill Russell and some of the other Celtics players for coming to the memorial and so forth. So it's a mixture of celebration and winning the game and celebration in the life of Kobe and sadness because of the tragedy that we've all gone through and reliving a lot of that tragedy as people talk about various things, what Kobe meant to them in their lives and what memories just jump out at them. So, a lot of laughs and a lot of tears combined at this point in time. But we're getting ready for the second half of the season, and I think everybody is pretty optimistic on the site. I'd say that normally we have a pretty good balance of glass half empty and glass half full guys and girls. But right now, I think almost everybody is looking really forward to a terrific season and hoping that we'll do exactly what Kobe would have wanted us to do in this situation, which is bring back our Celtics tying 17th NBA championship.
Let's hope that's the case. And for us here at the Lakers Fast Break, I do want to mention that we have not one great interview with you, but three great interviews out there that we're going to be playing. And in fact, one is already out on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. So as you listen to this podcast with LakerTom and I, please, if you haven't already, listen to the great conversation that I had this past weekend with Jimmy Simonis from YouTube. He's a great YouTube artist out there. He does a lot of great things. So check out his content on YouTube. I had a great conversation with him on the Western and Eastern Conference. And I also had another great conversation with TJ Johnson when it concerns what's going on with the Lakers as well. And that one I'm going to play this week. So look out for that. Just three awesome interviews with you, Jimmy, and TJ. Look for it today at the Lakers Fast Break. If you have any questions with us, please go ahead and let us know on our Twitter at Lakers Fast Break. Also as well, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. We're just so happy to go ahead and answer your questions, hear your feedback, things of that nature. And even if you want to stop by and be a guest, we'd love to have you on the show. Just let us know at Lakers Fast Break or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, Tom, I'll tell you what, it's just been great talking to you. I know we're still overcoming the grief that is the Kobe Memorial that happened earlier today, but we're going to pull through together as a basketball community, as a fan community, and go ahead and try to bring some positive out of this, and that hopefully will end up being a Lakers title run. So I'm looking forward to it, and it all starts coming up this week against Zion. So I'm looking forward to that, along with a lot of other great things. Could there be any type of moves last minute that the Lakers might make? I know you're going to be talking about that greatly on LakerHolics.net. So I'm looking forward to hearing and reading what's going on with the Lakers right here at the Lakers Fast Break, reading it at LakerHolics.net, and also being part of it all together right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast.